want to get rid of nuisances?
Okey doke, let's get started by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alright, well, howdy there, and welcome to our City Council meeting for April 15th. It's a special day for some reason. I guess one's that check button, I think. Okay, Commissioners, let's begin with taking a look at the meeting minutes from our last meeting. Actually, the first set of minutes I see here is for our call commission meeting on March the 8th, so we needed to take a look at that. That's a meeting where we talked about some of the de-annexation legislation. So it's a very short set of minutes. Y'all have had these for a little while to take a look at, so I'll give you just one more minute to take one more quick look at it for any corrections or revisions, and then I'll ask for a motion in a second to move that ahead. All right, I'll have a motion to approve the minutes from our call commission meeting on March the 8th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of March 8th.
Have a second.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion, anything we need to correct or amend on this set of minutes? Okay, all in favor of approving these minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the minutes for March 8th are approved. Let's go to the next set of minutes. This is for another call meeting on March the 13th. This meeting here was also to talk about the de-annexation legislation. We'll spend a little time talking about that some more tonight. Again, pretty short. Y'all have had a chance to take a look at this. I'll give you one more minute. Get over.
As you have a complaint, it says that not in attendance, Commissioner Martin was absent, but then it says Commissioner Martin made a motion to adjourn at 8:27.
I guess Commissioner Martin is present. Got it. Thank you very much.
I was not here at this meeting. I was absent this
Oh,
meeting,
you were
so I'm not
absent.
sure
You were
who
absent at this
made the motion to adjourn.
So it would be somebody else that made the motion. Okay, so you were absent. We'll have to go back and listen to see who made the motion. Okay. Do we need to bring this one back next time then? Or can we go ahead? We can go ahead and approve these with the amendment for the correct person that made the motion. A second. Okay, Commissioners, do I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as amended from our call meeting on March the 13th?
Motion.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, any further questions? Amendments, okay. All right, all in favor of approving these as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, these minutes are approved. All right. And then we have our regular commission meeting minutes for March the 18th. And this one is a longer set. It's our full meeting here. So you all have had a chance to take a look at it. Let me get a motion in a second, then I'll give you another minute to take a look at these.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for March 18th.
Okay, motion in a second. Now, take just another minute to look these over. It looks like I was absent at this meeting, so I will not vote on these, I will abstain. So it's passed. Okay, any further amendments that are needed for these minutes from March the 18th? Okay, I'm going to abstain. All in favor of approving these minutes from March the 18th, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved with one abstention. All right, we have another set of minutes to approve. We're catching up. This is call commission meeting for March the 29th. This meeting was to discuss the arrangement between the City of Townsend and Bluff Partnership. We had a call meeting on March the 29th. All right, I'll give you 1 minute to take a quick look at these. Okay, can I get a motion and a second?
Make a motion to approve the minutes for March 29th.
Okay, I have a second.
Second.
Okay. Any clarifications?
The only clarification that I'd like to add is one of the things said in here is Commissioner Martin made a motion to authorize Mayor Prater to enter a contract with Bluff Partnership. I don't remember the contract part. I remember there's something else, continuing negotiation or something like
Agreement.
that.
I think we could change contract to
I
agreement.
just,
Okay. That's a good point.
And then Commissioner Jenkins didn't cast a vote. It says it passed unanimously with 5 votes.
We can't hear you.
On the top right, it says Commissioner Jenkins did not cast a vote, but then it says the motion passed unanimously with 5 votes.
so it can't pass unanimously. If, like, if I had voted no, then it would have not been unanimous. If 4 people, if I didn't vote, it'd still be unanimous. So it should say unanimous with 4 votes.
Okay. Well, Commissioner Jenkins, you didn't vote. I
Right,
think I called it unanimous because I didn't hear any opposition.
right.
But usually you have to vote. You have to say yea or nay
That's
or
not
abstain.
according to Robert's Rules of Order.
You can just not vote.
Right. So, but it is unanimous because you didn't have anybody vote in opposition to it,
Okay.
okay?
We'll change that to
So that's a
4.
technicality, but
We'll go back and check on that. Okay. So the amendments to the commission meeting minutes are Commissioner Martin made a motion to authorize Mayor Prater to enter into an agreement with Blunt Partnership based on the points in the memo. Vice Mayor seconded and the motion passed with 4 yea votes. And then the amendment under adjournment said the motion passed unanimously with 4 yea votes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you had 5 votes.
Okay, 4 yea votes. Okay. All right, Commissioners, any further amendments to this? Okay, all in favor of approving these minutes from our call meeting on March the 29th, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Commissioner Jenkins, did you vote on this?
yes.
And you're aye?
Yes.
Okay, I think, I'm making sure about that.
Aye.
Use the microphone, as I've heard it said. Okay, the minutes of our meeting are approved. Okay, Commissioners, let's move on to the next item on our list is the finance report. Interim City Manager Webb, if you would provide the finance report.
Okay, we made revenue for the month of March. If you look, our local sales tax was up from what we budgeted. State sales tax was up as well, and then we did fairly good on our city court funds. We budgeted for 7,800, they did almost 12. So we budgeted for net income of 66,931, we came in at 72. Not really anything else real noteworthy. If you look through, most of the departments came in a little under or right at budget. Just a couple of notations on page 3. Under other general government services for liability insurance, that's our workers' comp premium that went up just a little bit this year. And then under public works, you'll see equipment purchase, we had budgeted for $28,000 and we spent $43,827. That's with the money that y'all appropriated for the mower and the trailer, in addition to what we had already budgeted. So overall, for the month, we had budgeted for a negative income of negative $89,000. We did a little bit better than negative $87,000.
Commissioners, any questions or items you'd like to note? Okay, thank you very much. And how about the charter of accounts?
Okay, the general fund, we have right at $700,000, street funds at $208,000, drug funds at $4,800, and then the accessibility fund at $1,550.
Okay. All right, any questions, commissioners, on the finance report? Okay, all in favor of approving the finance report, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the finance report,
Did we do a motion in a second?
the motion, I'm sorry.
I make a motion to approve the finance report.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Now, I'll call the question. All in favor of approving the finance report, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, finance report is approved. It takes a team. Good job. Okay. Let's move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the interim city manager report.
Okay. You notice they've started paving. They're starting with the transitions for the sidewalks first, and then they're going to pave the main highway. We got the audit in, so I have copies for everybody from the auditor, so you can stop on the office and pick up a copy. Read the management letter. Been really business as usual, just working on the budget and revisions requested. I am working with the property assessor's office on a way to track short-term rentals, and they've given me a couple of pointers, some apps and stuff that they use, so I'm looking into that. Try to pinpoint that. And if you'll notice in your handbook or in your folder at the very back, there's a couple of policies, one for an on-call policy and one for an anti-retaliation policy to add to the personnel book. I'll be working on those with Betsy Cunningham. They're just for your review. This meeting, I'll have a big ordinance form to add to our personnel policy if you all decide to.
Okay. Very good. All right. Any questions for city manager?
I've got some questions that you may or may not be able to answer, but people have asked me. Are they going to, when you talk about repaving, exactly what's going to be repaved?
From what I've been told, they're going to pay from Pizzle Springs all the way up to Park Lawn, 321.
321.
Yes.
Are they going to grind the surface down and put new pavement, or are they just going to put it on top of what's there?
I haven't been involved in that discussion.
Okay, because people are worried about the water runoff, not, and the edge at the curbs and those kinds of things. And I have no answers for them.
That I've not heard. I can reach out.
I just think we ought to know the specifics of what the community can expect and how many months it'll take and when they will commence and how it'll affect visitation, that kind of thing. It just seems like just saying we're going to repave kind of puts us all in the dark.
Okay. I'll reach out and get more information.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea, just like when we got an update on replacing the power poles. I thought that was handy, that our electric providers came in, gave us a readout on what's going to happen, what's the timeline. We were able to share that with our citizens. So I think that's a good idea. We do something similar on repaving. I will say I'm generally pleased with the way those slopes and concrete pieces are going in. I think that is going to be really helpful to our citizens that have mobility devices and things to be able to get along the sidewalk. So again, grant from TDOT, my understanding, to do all that. So I think that's going to help us out quite a lot. Make my bicycle tires roll easier too. Okay, any other questions for city manager? That reminds me, I do have a little bit of an update on the swinging bridge over to Dark Island. I spoke with Jeff Hedrick, who's in charge of the roads for Blount County, and so he is interested, I think as a result of some of the encouragement from the county commissioners, to improve that bridge, i.e. repair that bridge. And we are looking to get the correct arrangements in place with the property owners on the county side and on the city side. And so if we are able to do that, then when he's got his crew up here this summer, they will be able to replace that bridge over to Dark Island, and hopefully we'll be able to enter into an arrangement where the county will keep that up going forward. So a lot of pieces still to come into focus on that, but that's the plan for the swinging bridge over to Dark Island.
You used the word replace, do you mean repair?
Well, we'll see how much at a certain point replacement becomes, or repair becomes replacement, so we'll see. But it was a good conversation again, and we appreciate the support of the county. That's sort of a historic thing there, so now they got two swinging bridges in our area that they'll keep up. So very encouraged. Okay, commissioners, let's move on. Next item on our agenda is the police report, and I'll turn to Chief Connie.
I really don't have much anything to report, just normal business. Things are starting to get busy and traffic is picking up, and we're bidding meetings and preparing for some of our bigger festivals that'll hit in just a few weeks. So everything's running smooth.
Okay.
All good.
Thank you very much, Chief. Any questions for Chief Connie? Commissioners? Okay, let's move next to the fire department report. Chief Stallions.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to say thank you to the board on behalf of the 35 members of the Townsend Area Volunteer Fire Department for reaching agreement with the visitor center. I know that wasn't easy. I know that some of y'all feel like you had to give too much, but we appreciate the hard work and calmer heads prevailing. So I just wanted to say that at first. We've got a lot going on, a lot of good things happening. We're starting a fire class this Thursday. That's a state 64-hour class. We've never held one at our facility. We've never hosted one because it's really hard to find an instructor. It's really hard to become an instructor, but we're fortunate enough to have Tim Ogle. Tim is a certified instructor through the state, and so we are holding that class for our firefighters. It's a mandatory 64-hour training class, that rookie class is what they call it sometimes, that all the firefighters have to go through. So we're excited about that. Usually we have to find one to fit our guys in where we can. Also, I wanted to say, I had talked before about this year that with some of the expenditures that we have of coming to the commission and asking for an increase in the funding that y'all give us, already the generous funding that we do appreciate. But a few things have happened since I've had that, since I've talked to you all last, I guess to say. And I'm going to mention what those are. One Dave Holt, his group, with Plastic Trucks and Hearts and Hands as well, they think that their festival is going to be able to cover the $10,000 for our gear. So that's huge. The Highland Games met with us. They're doubling the parking fee for their event. So that's twice the income that we'll pull off of that event. And then also we're working with the Jeep Group. Brian Johnson and a couple of his companies, we have purchased a Jeep Gladiator that will replace the aging rescue trucks that we have. It will be a brush truck. Be dual purpose. We'll be able to set a tank in it, a portable tank in it to use. Like I discussed last month, when we have to go out and the men and women run the roads, putting out fires before they become an issue. We'll be able to put a portable pump in there. They'll be able to actually fight those. Size tank we put in there is not actually going to be able to, fight a huge fire, but it'll get it started until we can get more water to them. And then the last thing is the National Park Service gave me a call. They have after 10 years, they have to buy a new brush truck, and we were on the list to receive their 10-year-old brush truck. So quite a lot was able to be accomplished there. And really, I think, to me, it shows the community working together. We have a wonderful community. We have really good people. I know there's been debate, and I know there's been a divide, which should be a divide. I think we all have the same goal, that we don't want this to become an overgrown Pigeon Forge Part 2 type of a community. But it's okay amongst ourselves to disagree on how we get there. But this shows what can be done when we work together. There's $25,000, $30,000, well, you count the Jeep, there's close to $75,000 of revenue that we're going to use to help the people of this city be able to respond. That's not on the taxpayers' back. That's not on the citizens' back. So thank you all for everybody that's helped us. Appreciate what the city's done, but so we will not be needing to come to the city this year for an increase in funds.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you for that report. And I'll say also, thanks for all the innovative solutions that you've gotten to help meet the needs of the volunteer fire department. They are outstanding, of course, and we are all the beneficiaries of that good training and good work that keeps us safe. So, again, a lot of goodwill, I think, out there on behalf of the city of Townsend. So we're grateful for that. One less thing for us to have to plan for in our budget. So thank you, Chief Stallings. Any other questions from commissioners on the fire report? Okay, let's move on. Building codes report. Oh, sorry. Commissioner Martin?
I see that. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's why I've got Vice Mayor here. Straight on the agenda.
I hope y'all received the email about the reflectors, and I'd like to bring that up, what you all thought between the paint or the reflectors on the roadways. What is your all's opinion where we should proceed? Nobody speaking on
I want to drive it a few more times to go from each direction, because you may need to put more reflectors or around to see.
I have mixed feelings about both of them. I think the painting maybe didn't extend far enough out along the main road. You didn't see the paint until you started the turn, and in reality, I think you need to see the paint so you can start the turn. And like I said, I'm particularly interested in the road up here by the restaurant where I turn every night to go home. That intersection is very difficult. And if paint extends around that corner a little further, I think it would be easier for the mature group of us that drive at night to be able to see it. I just think a little more would be better.
I've got thoughts, but I'll wait.
I mean, I feel like either of them do a good job. I know the paint, I noticed it's pretty good. So I don't like to drive at night. I don't know, I swear I have astigmatism.
Can't hear you.
Sorry.
It's hard to drive at night, especially if you have astigmatism, so, I mean, I like the reflectors or the paint, so I'm really good with either.
All right. Well, I can say both of them have made a huge improvement. Holy smokes, being able to see what you're shooting for when you turn off. Both of them are a huge improvement, so it just reinforces that we need to do something. I'm partial to the paint, so I like the paint. Like Commissioner Jenkins, I thought it could extend a little further, maybe not a whole lot further, but I guess maybe twice again what it is there. I like the paint, and I don't know if there's a way to put more of those glass beads in there. make it really pop. I do notice that it's got tire marks on it pretty quick, but I was sort of partial to the paint. So that's my input.
One other question. Do we intend to put, let's say we decide on the paint, are we going to put that in every driveway that comes onto 321 or just the official streets that intersect 321?
I think we had discussed at one time the streets and the businesses on 321, not residential driveways. That's what we had discussed at one time.
Okay.
I have noticed, again, the tires on the paint. And I've noticed that the reflector is a lot brighter when it's raining. It's easier to see that reflector when it's pouring down the rain than it is the paint. The glass beads isn't reflecting as well as that reflector.
So perhaps a combination of the two might be the more appropriate answer. Don't decide one or the other, do both.
How expensive is it?
Have no clue. I'm clueless.
Mr. Jones?
I think it was $30 for 10. So it's pretty pricey, so. I mean, we can do the paint a little more, maybe do a little bit more test run, see what y'all think, and go from there.
Okay.
We'll do whatever you guys want to do.
How many feet did you go up this time from the,
Some of them we went maybe 2 foot, we didn't go real far. I just show you, hey, this is what it's gonna look like.
so according to TDOT, how far can we go out on that? Is there any
They
certain?
never did say, they just said they didn't care if we did it, but they didn't want no expenses or even trying to do it, they didn't have no plan.
So do we want to proceed with painting and try the glass beads?
Well, then we can, maybe people will give us some input on the public comment section on what they think about it, but I'd like to go ahead and proceed if we've already got it in the budget with the paint.
Well, we did, Mr. Jones did find a bucket of the paint and the glass beads in one of our storage places here on premises.
How much can we do with that?
We can do quite a bit, I would say half of it at least. It just depends on how far you guys want to go out on the curb.
I'd say double what it is now.
Okay.
I do have one other question. The state's getting ready to repave out here. Are we wasting our time painting those curbs before the state comes along and messes them up when they're repaving?
They shouldn't
Okay.
do anything to the curb.
Mr. Jones, if you will proceed to paint. For those in the audience, those watching, the reflectors are on Mountain Avenue and on Tiger Drive and also at the Dollar General. The actual markers on top, not the painted part. The painted roads are the shopping center, Tuckaleechee Plaza, and which was the other one, Jason? Was there another one? That's Tuckaleechee Plaza. Next to the shopping center. Just those two,
Yes.
those 3 or 4 entrances there, right? Regular, okay. Both shopping center entrances were painted, correct? And then I am going to turn it back over to Mr. Jones to discuss the concrete and the bike trail work that we have been doing.
Yes, we've been working on the bike trail at the lower end. There's been some concrete that we've had to replace, and we're supposed to pour it today, but weather kind of hit backflip for us, so we're having to do it in the morning. So as soon as we get that all done, we'll have it all cleaned up, and the deal with the fencing with TDOT, I will tell you this, I spoke with them, and as soon as they get done paving for the curbing and stuff, they're gonna come back and clean all the fencing and stuff up. That should be good.
Thank you,
But
sir.
that's it.
Thank you, sir. And Caleb, how much did we end up bringing when we sold the lawnmowers and the equipment that we had found in the barn? Do you know how much we brought back into the city?
I don't know the total numbers because I haven't talked with Tony, but I think they got 7,200 for the 2023 bad boy. Do you know what they got from sweeper? 400, and I think the X-Smart bought maybe 2,600,
Okay.
something like that.
So all the equipment that we had has sold on gut deals, correct? Okay. Thank you. think that is all I have for maintenance and street report.
Very good report. Any questions for Commissioner Martin? Okay, thank you. Good.
Maybe since we had the big rains, if we can check the culverts and clean them out.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, thank you. Let's keep moving. Now, building and codes report.
I don't really have anything right now. Still trying to get back in, get myself straightened out.
Okay, we're so glad to see you here, Mr. Earl.
And Doug couldn't be here tonight, but I know he did issue 3 building permits just last week.
Oh,
Yes, everyone's still waiting.
okay. Great. 3 building permits last week, and how many still open?
I don't have the exact number, I have a list.
Okay.
I guess.
Some still open. Okay, very good. Commissioners, any questions on that? Okay, let's keep moving. Vice Mayor Satterfield, Recreation Report.
Okay. Where are you?
All right, Brett, you help me if I don't remember anything, okay? So the RFQ Review Committee, we will be meeting again this Thursday at 6:30, I believe it's 6:30 here. We've narrowed it down to 2 different architect and engineer firms for the Special People's Park project. So we had interviews with them on April the 3rd, so they each came here and presented to us, and we were able to ask them questions. And so, but we should have a recommendation back to the Board of Commissioners for the May meeting on which one that we select. Now the RFQ, this is just for qualifications, so I will say, not to expect any like fees or anything like that, because we would be selecting someone based on qualifications and not based on their fees or their budget schedules or anything. That would be negotiated after we've selected somebody, if we can negotiate with them. And then we've got bingo on the 28th, again at 6 o'clock, if anybody's interested in coming. We've had yoga every Tuesday in April. So yoga's been going good. Miss Vanessa Ledbetter's been the instructor for that. So if you still want to come to yoga in April, you can come on Tuesday mornings here at City Hall at 9:30, and we just have you sign a waiver. The cost is free. And unfortunately, we were not selected for the Project Diabetes grant that me and Chris from East Tennessee Development had applied for. So hate to hear that, because that would have been a really good grant, and we had a good write-up and a good application, I thought, but we'll keep searching and keep looking and keep working on that, and I believe that's all I've got. Oh, we're having a workshop in June at the City Park. Don't have a date yet, but I'll give you a date next month, so it'll be a City Park work day up there.
Okay.
I believe that's it.
Very good. Another good report. Commissioners, any questions for Vice Mayor Satterfield on the recreation report? Okay. Next up, community plan update. Mr. Hope.
I'll make it short. We were involved in a workshop earlier. We suspended our meeting, had Ken from ETDV present a couple presentations to us. And it's a lot of information. It was, the email I had 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 attachments. It was a lot. So the team has it and we'll be reviewing it. But it looks like it's now getting to the point where we'll need a lot of input from the community commissioners and a lot of folks to bring this thing round and third heading home. That's all I have.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. At the workshop, we took a closer look at the zoning ordinance with an eye toward what do we need to have in the land use transportation plan, also known as our community plan. As y'all know, the community plan, or the land use and transportation plan, is actually what gives the overarching guidance for what goes in the zoning ordinance and for the subdivision regulations. And so we have had a series of inputs that have been collected by ETDD on that, and so we reviewed in quite some detail, chapter by chapter, looking at things that might need to be incorporated into the land use plan so that we can then amend the zoning as we need it going further. So a lot of interesting discussion. I believe that workshop will be recorded and posted, so I would encourage folks to take a look at it. If you do have input, 1 week, you're welcome to provide any input. Just bring it down somehow on a piece of paper, on a file, however you can get it to City Hall, and we'll get it over to ETDD. So it is pretty technical, I will say, but it's an important part of the work that we're doing. So if you have thoughts about that, if you've ever looked at something in the zoning ordinance and thought, well, we need something more, something different, that would be the time to provide that input so that we can get it into the land use plan that ultimately will guide our planning commission on how to update the zoning ordinance. Okay.
I had one question about
Yes,
this.
yes, ma'am.
Can we access the presentation that Kim did today on the community plan website that SC Group had put together?
On the CPAC website, that would be up to Ida, but I can put it on our website.
Okay.
I can upload the PDF. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think we should put it up somewhere either on our website or on the community plan website or both so that people can get a look at that presentation.
Yeah.
A lot of really interesting data talking about the demographics of our city and quite a number of things that I think y'all will find interesting. Okay. All right, let's move right along. Next up is public input for items on the agenda. I'm going to pause for 1 second and talk a little bit about the arrangement that we signed with Blunt Partnership. As y'all heard during those meeting minutes, we did have quite some discussion for a few weeks. I will say that it took a lot of our time and energy to be able to address the situation. There was proposed legislation that would facilitate a de-annexation of the event center, visitor center site from the city of Townsend. We had quite a lot of discussion about that, but we also had a lot of discussion about what kind of things, as a property owner, could the Tourism Development Authority be willing to, provide some bounds around things that are happening up there. And I will say that it was something that probably had its antecedents many years ago. That site has been, acquired over the years, more and more property there, and they were approved a couple of years ago to build the additional facilities there that, house concessions and restrooms to be able to facilitate events there. And so as a way to, address the situation there and to be able to facilitate withdrawal of that de-annexation legislation, the Board of Commissioners did ask me to enter into some discussions with the Tourism Development Authority as part of the Blunt Partnership, as you all know. And we came up with an arrangement whereby they would voluntarily put some bounds around some of the things that would happen up there at the visitor center. So we ended up, I won't read it out tonight, it's you've all have probably seen some reference to it, and if you attended any of those special call meetings, you heard the general parameters there. But we've got some copies around tonight if people want to take a look at what it looks like. Also, anybody can request a copy of it from the city, so just fill out a records form and people are able to do that. It does talk about large events and defining large events. Up to 2 large events shall be allowed to be hosted within a 4-week period. Up to 15 large events shall be allowed per year. $5,000 annual special event fee. And those are the city obligations. And another city obligation is to amend our ordinance around special events, which we'll start to do tonight within 60 days to establish this annual special events permit. Smoky Mountain Tourism Development Authority agrees to immediately request withdrawal of the legislation, will not request reintroduction of the legislation unless there's a breach of the agreement. Smoky Mountain Tourism Development Authority and its representatives will meet with the Townsend Board of Commissioners or its representatives no less than quarterly. I think this is going to be really important. What we haven't had is a sort of dedicated mechanism to have this type of interaction before. So I think this is going to be really important. Smoky Mountain Tourism Development Authority will not plan, coordinate, or host any event which lasts longer than 7 days. They will notify the city in writing as to the dates, nature of the event, anticipated capacity, at least 30 days prior to the event. And they will not plan, coordinate, or host events on the property the week of 4th of July. You know, that's when we have our fireworks. First Sunday in December, that's when we have our Christmas parade. And one weekend in April or May, as to be annually agreed by the parties. And to the extent possible, based on the nature and scope of the event, the Tourism Development Authority will provide the fire department first right of refusal to coordinate parking and share parking revenues. So as you heard Chief Stallions talk about. And let's see, otherwise we would issue a public statement. We'll mutually agree to look collaboratively at some of the regulations in the municipal code with respect to events on the property, and the term of the agreement is 10 years. The Tourism Development Authority shall comply with all existing municipal, county, state, federal laws and regulations, any requirements for permits, licenses, and approvals required for any event, including but not limited to alcohol service permits, food vendor, mobile food vendor permits. And the City of Townsend shall not unreasonably withhold or delay the issuance of such permits or approvals. Tourism development or event organizer would be required to provide sufficient medical and first aid services, restroom sanitation, on-site security to ensure the health, safety, and welfare of attendees, visitors, and residents of the city. Let's see. Except as otherwise provided, the Tourism Development Authority shall comply with all applicable regulations and obligations in the municipal code. Townsend may suspend or revoke the annual special events permit if the Tourism Development Authority fails to comply with any of the special event regulations. And I think there's just some miscellaneous language after that. But that's what's in the agreement. I think sort of part by part. I'm happy to entertain any questions as part of our public comment. It is available, so somebody can have this copy or you can get a copy from the city. I think this is a good effort, a good faith effort to try to provide some coordination and collaboration on events there. What I can imagine that this might mean, and I've suggested this over the years, is that we might organize a group, some sort of a committee. We have so many volunteers and committees to talk about events throughout the city. So not just events here, but we also issue as many or more special event permits for other events that happen throughout the city. And so we get lots of public input. It's been good over the last couple of years, commissioners, to review each and every one of these special events permits, but I can see a day where we might evolve getting a special event permit as something that's a more routine administrative type process with the city. But that doesn't mean that we don't need to have regular input. How are these things working? What can be improved? That type of thing. I'm plant the seed tonight that we might develop such a committee of our citizens and maybe some of ourselves that would be able to inform this work and inform the quarterly meetings that we might have with the Tourism Development Authority. But it would be a group that would look broadly across all the different special events that happen in the city. Special events, are real fact of life. If you live in Townsend. And so I don't see this as sort of the end, but sort of the beginning of something that will continue to have a lot of community engagement and involvement. So I'll stop there. Let me see if I've got questions from commissioners, and then we'll go to the public input. Commissioners, any questions? Okay, let's open the floor for public input. Y'all can give input on that, on reflectors versus paint, or anything else that might be on the agenda. Do we have anybody signed up?
We have Susan Cooper.
Susan left. Yeah, she talked to me and then she's decided not to comment further.
Mike Aker.
Mike Baker, 7511 Old Highway 73 in Townsend. Don't live there yet, but it's coming. House kit has shipped, so progress is being made. With all due respect, I would like to protest the vote being changed from the special call meeting when it was unanimous. When you do the type of voting that you all do, where you don't call on individual names or nobody's raising their hand, when there is a yes vote, no one anywhere that's listening to the audio can tell whether or not the prevailing side was unanimous or not unanimous. And you do provide an opportunity to say no. All opposed no is what you say. And when one doesn't speak up in the all opposed no section, they arbitrarily fall on the prevailing side because of the type of voting that you're doing. And Robert's Rules was brought up previously, and they have a method of at least helping with the desire to change a vote after the fact of all in favor aye, all opposed no, and all abstaining say aye. So that you could use that every time for anybody that wants, so that there's no way anybody after the fact can change their mind because they didn't voice it during the prevailing yes votes. At the county level, when it's a serious matter, we do a roll call vote where the clerk calls our name and we do it vocally. But every day our vote is recorded electronically, either a yes or a no. And you could do that by show of hands or vocal individually rather than it being a group thing. It's not real cool to go back and change a vote after the meeting is closed. If you're on the prevailing side, you can always go back and change your vote during the meeting or before the next matter is taken up. But you can't do it after the meeting is closed. And I don't think that this should be permitted in what y'all are preparing to do to your minutes after it being declared unanimous. So I am in opposition to that as a citizen of Townsend. The other thing I wanted to say is, as a citizen of Townsend, this community, growing up here, I would definitely like to put my name in the hat for consideration for the Planning Commission. I believe I offer the experience and knowledge and understanding of the law enough to where I could be very beneficial to the community, regardless of my desire to no longer have property in the city limits of Townsend. I still want to help. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Okay. Other public input. Somebody else signed up? Mary Kay, would you like to?
Mary Kay Jenkins, I'd like clarification on the agreement. So is it correct in saying our zoning says no strobe lights or lights at night? Is that one of the things you're going to change to accommodate Plum Partnership so they can do that? Or is that going to stay so they cannot do that?
I think what we agreed to do is take a look at those. That's what the agreement says.
Thanks.
Okay, other public input? Okay. All right, thank you very much, Commissioners. Let's continue on with new business. We do have a vacancy on the Planning Commission. So Mr. Haskell Rett has submitted his resignation. I do want to thank Mr. Rett for all of his participation on the Planning Commission. So he was a very valuable member. But as a result, we do have a vacancy on the Planning Commission. Prior to the meeting, Commissioners, I circulated or asked the City Manager to circulate a list of folks. It hasn't been that long ago that we went out with a call for expressions of interest for folks that are interested in serving on the Planning Commission. It frequently comes up, from time to time, and I think this time we also went back and asked people if they were still interested. So I believe we have a viable slate of candidates for the Planning Commission, and I'd be happy to speak and to try to select one of those tonight. But before I do that, let me see if there's any concern from other commissioners about using the existing slate of candidates.
I've talked to several people that are considering putting their name in the hat. They didn't realize that the deadline was right now. And I think we should give people an opportunity to, now that they realize there's a deadline for submission of interest, give them a chance to do that, and then decide, read them, vote, select the member. But I really think we need to get the best viable candidate, we probably need to allow more time for people to, I've had 2 people tonight ask me about it. Okay?
Well, I'd also say that, and I'll ask for everybody's opinion on this. I would just say we have some people a whole bunch of people that have long demonstrated their interest in serving on the Planning Commission. I'm glad for anybody that wants to volunteer. I would encourage people before they come and volunteer to sit in on some of these meetings. And so as a commissioner, I'm much more persuaded to support somebody for the Planning Commission if I've seen them show up. And I know that we have a number of folks that are on this list that are regular folks that show up for these Planning Commission meetings. It's not something that comes on a whim to be able to go on to the Planning Commission. We are fortunate to have so many people that want to volunteer for our different commissions. And I think that the call for expressions of interest, is it open sort of regularly if people are interested in any of our councils or committees?
Yeah, I normally keep it on the website. I've done some website maintenance about 3 weeks ago and took it off. We'll have to put it back on, but I did it Commissioner Jenkins' request. But it's typically up there because the form covers Planning Commission, Parks and Rec, PZA, any other areas. So people can submit any time, and then when we have to open it, we have a pool.
All right, let me hear from other commissioners about whether you want to move ahead with appointing somebody to the Planning Commission tonight, or you want to wait till next month.
I have a question. How many applicants do we have at this moment to draw from?
We have 6 that were still interested that had applied last time that we filled the position in January.
Okay, is that counting the 4 that we got the emails from, or no? I know there's a couple of extras on the emails. Are those included in the 6?
Which emails?
The email with Lindsay, Mike Ackard.
Those are the ones I sent you.
Okay.
Those were the 6.
Those were the 6, okay. And we do have a vacancy coming up in June, am I correct?
Well,
Possibly.
Possibly every time his term is up, but I
Okay.
haven't heard or if he wants to continue.
Okay, so possible other vacancy on the Planning Commission coming up in June.
I'm okay with filling the vacancy tonight because we've had a pool of people that put in their applications months ago for an open seat. So I think that, like Gayla said, like that form is always available. You don't have to wait till there's a post for expressions of interest. you can submit that form anytime if you're interested in any of the boards.
And then I'd like to know, they submitted that we appointed 2 BZA members. Right? There's 2 BZA members. Would they be interested in planning commission as well? And then if we pick one of those, then we would need to fill the BZA spot too.
Actually, one of the BZA members that got appointed last time is interested in planning, so if he got picked, then we would have to pick his spot.
Yeah, somebody comes off of BZA to be on planning commission, you can't be on both, because appeal would come to the BZA. So we'd have to fill a vacancy on the BZA. But the people could ask to go from BZA to planning commission.
And then I do have forms for expression of interest if anybody is interested in
We
applying.
can't hear you.
I have the expression of interest forms, if anybody's interested in picking one up tonight.
Okay. So we've got 6. Commissioner Jenkins suggests we wait. Vice Mayor Satterfield says she thinks we can go ahead. I think we can go ahead. Commissioner Hedrick, what's your feeling? Wait or go ahead?
If we wait, I would want to have a call meeting before the next planning commission meeting to pick somebody to get them in there.
Okay, well, I'd say could we just go ahead? We've had a whole bunch of special call meetings, and these people have had long-standing interest in doing that. Commissioner Martin?
I'd like to go ahead and proceed tonight, please.
Okay, let's go ahead and proceed with the list. There'll be an additional vacancy potentially coming up, and there'll be other opportunities. So, interim city manager, can you read the names, and then I'll ask commissioners. I'll start with any recommendations on this slate of folks.
We have Harry McIntosh, Ed Godfrey, Christina Delaney, John McMahon, Mike Aker, Michael Lindsay, and Alan Polly.
Okay. All right, commissioners, I'm going to start here. We're still working to get our municipal code changed so that the Board of Commissioners has a more direct role in actually appointing the planning commission members, but currently it is still that the mayor makes the appointments, but of course I will go with your advice and deliberation on this. I recognize a number of these folks as being regular attendees, even former city council members and planning commission members. So we have a very talented pool there. I will just speak a little bit on behalf of one person here that you all might not be as familiar with. He's part of our community, Alan Polly. Alan lives just outside the city limits. He lives over sort of back behind the Dogwood Realty as you go on up Old Tuckaleechee Road. He's lived in the community for a number of years at this point. He is a previous Planning Commission chair from Senatobia, Mississippi. And so he has done this type of work, again, for another small city. So he's been the chair. He's been on the Planning Commission. He has a lot of familiarity with zoning ordinances and things of that nature. I had a chance to have a discussion with him. And I do think he would bring something new. Not only is he, close to our community, but also he has a perspective of being a chair from another planning commission. It could help us to improve our practices and our procedures on the planning commission. But I really wanted to speak on behalf of Mr. Polly, not to take anything away from any of the other candidates here that I think are also very well qualified. So with that, I'll see if any commissioners want to speak on behalf of any of these other candidates. Okay. I would just say it's important to have some experience. It's important to have perspective of citizens on this committee, but it's also important if those citizens also have some experience in doing the work of a planning commission. Okay. Let me see if we can go down the line. We'll do sort of the roll call style, and I'll let you all advise me on which of these candidates you would move in favor of. I'll start down here with Commissioner Hedrick.
Or just choose one.
Yeah. Did we do the paper votes like we did last time?
Well, I had some feedback on that it needed to be a little bit more transparent.
I'll go first. I would vote for Christine Delaney. I think she's shown a real interest in the community. She's level-headed. She's got professional background. True, she's never been on a planning commission before, but she's shown real interest in being on the community plan advisory committee. She's participated in several of the other things going on in town, so I would promote her as a person to think about.
Okay. Commissioner Martin, you want to go next?
Harry McIntosh, she's done realty and done some work here and volunteers a lot in our community.
Okay.
I think Harry's also on the design review committee for Marable, if I read that correctly on his application, so I'd like to recommend Harry McIntosh.
Okay. Commissioner Hedrick.
I would say Mr. Akerd, with his knowledge of being on the Lake County Commission.
Okay, one for Aker. Okay, so I got two for McIntosh, one for Delaney, one for Akerd, and one for Hunter. Looks like we've got a preponderance on Mr. McIntosh. Anybody have any strong concerns? No? Okay, I'll take that as your advice.
They're all qualified though.
I think we have a lot of really good candidates, so.
Like I said, it's hard to just choose.
Okay. Thank you all very much for that advice, and we will make an appointment to the Planning Commission shortly. Okay, Commissioners, let's go to the next item on our agenda. Special event application for Little River Rush Half Marathon. This is occurring on May the 16th through the 7th and the 17th. It goes from 5 to 8 on the 16th and 5 to 11 on the 17th. Location will be at the Heritage Center, Richmond County Heritage Center, organized by John Chavis. Let me see what else I can tell you about this event. The Spartanburg Heritage High School races will be based to Smoky Mountain Heritage Center. Anticipated participation 300 to 400 people. Okay. Mr. Chavis?
I'm here, a few minutes.
Okay. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Come on and tell us about your event.
Okay, this is a half marathon. Just to give you some background on myself, I'm on the Knoxville Track Club Board, who puts on the Knoxville Marathon. I also direct the Children's Home Pathway 5K in Knoxville as well. This is something the running community is excited about because it is a half marathon course that goes downhill, which we don't have a lot of in East Tennessee. We look for them everywhere. This is the best solution that we've found. We lose about 250 feet of total elevation of the whole course. So that's why we selected the site. We've got a lot of people from the track club that run in this area for their longer runs on the weekend, and everybody's familiar with it. To kind of clear up some of the application things that have changed, we had thought about doing a 5K the day before. That's why the 16th on there. It would just be the 17th. It would be in the morning of the 17th, and the race would start at 7:30 a.m. The actual part that would be in the city would be over with relatively quickly because I don't know where the city line exactly ends, but we would be coming down the Greenway, crossing over, or crossing under the highway, under the tunnel, and then going through the covered bridge onto Old Broadman Highway and taking it to Heritage High School, basically. That would be the course. Everybody would be parking at Heritage High School. There would be no parking here. We have buses that would take the runners from Heritage High School and talking with Heritage Center where we'll be staging, and then we'll be, everybody be running down from there.
Okay, sounds good. Let me go to Chief Condi. Any concerns on this one? You have a chance to take a look at it?
The only concern that I was thinking about some of these runs that we have coming up, the only concern I have is the construction that we're doing on with the sidewalks and stuff. So, I mean, I guess there may be some spots where the runners just have to run around the grass, run through the grass or whatever, but they just have to use caution there. But no, I mean, it's especially starting that early in the morning, that not a lot going on, so. They're staying off the roadway, so using the trail, it's, other than the construction areas, it should be fine. They're using the tunnel to cross over, so.
Let's see if I can get a motion in a second, to just get it up for discussion, and then I'll turn to Commissioner, see if you have any more questions.
I make a motion to accept the special application for Little River Rush Half Marathon. Second.
Okay, I got a motion in a second. Commissioners, other questions for Mr. Chavis?
I do have a question. What time is your race actually starting? What time will the gun go off?
7:30 a.m.
At 7:30 a.m. And are you crossing under the bridge at the IGA, or are you crossing the bridge under the road up towards Old Tuckaleechee?
It would be the first tunnel I can.
Okay, it's in the IGA.
Okay, yes.
The reason I ask is that, if I'm not mistaken, is also the weekend of the Highland Games. And I just wanted to make sure you all were not on the same side. I don't think that would cause a problem, since you all wouldn't be coming through the entranceway.
And just to give you background, I know there's a bigger event in September that's the Smoky Mountain Half Marathon. It's kind of the reverse of that course. We'll start here and finish down at Heritage. It's almost the same course. We would just be starting a little farther down and finishing at the actual high school.
I just wanted to check with that to make sure there would be no conflict. Runners trying to go across the bike trail and traffic coming in, but you will be on the opposite side of the road.
We do have traffic set up with Long County Sheriff's Office that we're already got in place for farther down the course. We should have corresponding volunteers as well. Issues with that.
Okay, I got a question. Are you going to have any markings? Are you going to paint on the sidewalk? Or?
No, we'll have signs that we'll remove after the event, so we're not going to mark the sidewalk or anything like that.
Okay. Other questions, commissioners? Okay. All in favor of approving the Little River Rush Half Marathon on May the 17th, starting at 7:30 a.m., say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The application is approved. Thank you very much for your event.
Thank you.
Okay, commissioners, let's move next. Our last item of business under new business is ordinance 34525-1C, an ordinance amending the special event permit requirements within the city of Townsend. Y'all have had this ordinance to take a look at. This is the one that I mentioned that's required by the agreement. And so this essentially modifies our special event ordinance to facilitate an annual permit. So I'll give you just another minute to take a look at it. It's two places, looks like. City manager, anything you'd like to share on this ordinance? I think, has this been reviewed by city attorney?
Yes, it's been reviewed by our city attorney.
Okay. Okay. Okay, can I get a motion and a second to get this one up for discussion?
Make a motion to approve the ordinance number 346-25-1C.
Okay.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this one?
So we're ready to discuss it, right?
We're ready to discuss.
Okay. Large event means any event with a capacity reaching 12,000. So that's a projected attendance of 12,000 or more, or a projected attendance of 12,000 or less.
12,000 or more.
Okay, that's not clear to me.
Okay.
Okay? And where does the number come from?
That's in the agreement.
No, I mean, who generates, well, we're only going to have 10,000 people at this event.
Oh, who's going to be counting?
Yeah, who's going to decide? Because you could tailor this number, the number you project or you're gonna have to, in your favor for a special event.
Yeah, we'll have to see how our mechanism goes for that. So according to the agreement, the tourism authority will provide projected attendance during that 30-day notification. And so we'll have to figure out, is that, accurate? How do we monitor that? One way to do that has been suggested to me is to think about cars coming in. It's easier to count cars and people. You can use that as an estimate. But we'll have to sort of figure out how that goes to be able to.
Okay, but when I read this, I'm not reading this as being one partnership. I'm reading this as Joe Blow getting ready to put on an event. And oh, by the way, I've got myself a 501c3 that says I'm promoting tourism development. So I get to do this. This isn't just tailored, or it shouldn't just be tailored for one partnership. It has to be used for anybody that comes forward.
It's for an annual permit. Yeah.
Right, but it lets them have less city supervision.
Yeah. I don't know that we would have any event organizers.
I'm just talking about the future. You're putting this on the books, you're calling it the law.
Okay. What is the city attorney took a look at this and to make sure it complies with the agreement. Do you have a suggestion on?
I would suggest this entire thing needs to be looked at with a critical eye by somebody that's experienced in contract law, because this is important to the citizens.
Yeah.
And if you open the door to something that you don't intend it to control, you're behind the 8 ball right from the very beginning.
Yeah. Well, we hired the city attorney to look at it. He's an expert in contract law. That's what we hired him to do. And so, I read this. It looks very consistent. It looks straightforward to me. I don't see anything here that would, if there was another organizer that wanted to come and get an annual permit, it seems like they could be able to understand this.
I guess the question is there, who would be able to get an annual permit? I mean, the Heritage Center, they're similar to the partnership where they do events, but can any other general business, smaller business come and get this? But 12,000 people fit in a lot of places.
But it doesn't actually say you have to have the event on your property. It says that you're entitled to plan, coordinate, or host special events on its property without applying for the individual special event permit. I'll back up. I didn't catch that first time I read it. It does say on its property.
Okay.
I just think we need to really look over this with a critical eye. It's important for the future. I
don't disagree that it's important to look at it with a critical eye, but that's what we paid city attorney to do.
Okay.
And we have 60 days to be able to, and this has to go one reading or two, city manager? Two. So,
One thing I did want to point out, as far as anybody being able to come up and do this, it specifically states notwithstanding any other provision in this chapter, a tourism development authority. So it would have to be a tourism development authority.
so it only pertains, so nobody else could come and get it except for a tourism development authority.
And what's the definition of a tourism authority?
Well, there is one in the state law. There's a state law definition of what a tourism authority is in Title VII, I think. I've learned a lot on this exercise.
Okay.
Now, Commissioner Jenkins, what I would suggest, if you have specific language that you would like to suggest, you'll have a second reading to be able to propose that. If you have questions that you'd like to ask, we can ask the city attorney. It looks pretty good from what I see.
Okay.
But we do have to adopt it on 2 readings, so there is an opportunity if you have specific questions on it. But what we can't do is delay it, because then we would be in a breach of the agreement.
And
So,
what's the date it starts? The day the guy signed it, which was April 8th? So we have 60 days from April 8th.
60 days from the day it was signed, April 8th.
Right.
Yeah. So,
I don't know if this part right here would be confusing, but I did see just one section in here. In section 1 where it says large events planned, coordinated, or hosted by any single permit holder. And then in section 2, it describes any tourism development authority. So I don't know if that should be changed or not, because in section 1 it says any single permit holder, and then in section 2 it says any tourism authority. I don't know if that would be confusing.
yeah, I don't know if only a tourism authority could apply for this permit, then they would be the only.
The only single permit holder. Okay, I just wanted clarification on that. Thank you.
The other weakness I saw in this is that, you know, we say, well, the holder has to comply with all applicable obligations of this chapter and the Tennessee Townsend Municipal Code laws, state laws, and federal laws. I think we need to be a little bit more adamant about the codes they really have to follow. I mean, when we said flashing lights, you know, everybody goes, well, wait a minute. And so I think we need to be clear about what municipal codes, like for instance, we have a code about beer permits. We have codes about trucks that sell food out of them, food vendors. And I just think that just saying municipal code kind of relies on somebody to be totally versed in municipal codes.
Well, are you looking to accept them from anything? I mean, it's pretty clear here that permit holders shall comply with all other applicable obligations of this chapter of the Townsend Municipal Code. They got to apply to everything that's in here. Furthermore, the agreement that calls out specifically, the Tourism Development Authority shall comply with all existing municipal, county, state, federal laws and regulations, including any requirements for permits, licenses, approvals for each special event, not limited to alcohol service permits, beer permit, and vendor and food service permits. That'd be our mobile food vendor.
Okay, that's in the agreement. I agree, it's in the agreement.
Okay.
This just seems very loosely written and somehow.
It says all. When I read all, I understand all.
So
all other local, state, federal laws and regulations. Don't sound very loose to me. Okay, if you have other suggestions, you've got till next second reading, and happy to bring any of those forward. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor of adopting ordinance 346251C, say aye. Aye. Let's do a roll call vote. Jenkins.
Opposed?
Martin.
Aye.
Prater. Aye. Satterfield.
Aye.
Hedrick.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the ordinance is adopted, 4 yeas and 1 opposed. That's on first reading, so we'll take a second reading, and folks can request it. There'll be an opportunity for public input before we do it on the second.
Point of order, we didn't read the ordinance to people. First reading requires you to read
To read it. Well, okay. Ordinance number 346251C, an ordinance amending the special event permit requirements within the city of Townsend. Whereas the Board of Commissioners of the City of Townsend recognizes the substantial community benefit that may result from community events which can provide cultural enrichment, economic vitality, and enhance community identity. Whereas current ordinances set forth in Title IX, Chapter 5 of the Townsend Municipal Code require property owners to obtain individual permits for each special event. Whereas certain properties plan, coordinate, and host frequent special events, and it is necessary to ensure the public health, safety, and welfare of event patrons, residents, and other visitors, and to provide for fees, charges, and procedures required to administer the permit process for certain properties and events, and now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Commissioners of the City of Townsend, Tennessee as follows. Section 1. Section 9-502 of the Townsend Municipal Code shall be amended to provide a definition of large event. Large events means any event with a capacity reaching 12,000 participants in a 24-hour period calculated from midnight of one day to midnight of the following day. Events planned, coordinated, or hosted by any single permit holder shall be limited to no more than 2 large events in any 4-week period and no more than 15 large events in any calendar year. Section 2. Section 9-503 shall be amended to create an annual special event permit. Notwithstanding any other provisions in this chapter, any tourism development authority which owns property within the City of Townsend municipal limits shall be entitled to apply for an annual special event permit. The annual special event application shall be submitted to the city manager for approval, and it shall be accompanied by a mandatory annual special event permit fee of $5,000. Upon issuance of the annual special event permit, the annual special event permit holder shall be entitled to plan, coordinate, or host special events on its property without applying for an individual special event permit issued pursuant to this chapter. Provided, however, that the annual special event permit holder shall provide the city manager 30 days written notice prior to all events, including large events, with such written notice to include the dates, nature of events, and anticipated event capacity. The annual special event permit holder shall comply with all other applicable obligations of this chapter, the Townsend Municipal Code, and all other local, state, and federal laws, rules, and regulations. The Townsend Municipal Code shall be amended and as set forth above, and the provisions of this ordinance shall be in effect upon final passage the public welfare requirement, passed and adopted by the Board of Commissioners, Townsend, Tennessee. Let me call the question again. All in favor, roll call vote of ordinance 346251C, say aye. Jenkins?
Nay.
Nay, okay, that's opposed. Martin?
Aye.
Prater? Aye. Satterfield?
Aye.
Tedder? Okay. The motion is passed with 4 yea votes and 1 opposed. Okay, Commissioners. Next item on our agenda, unfinished business. Do you have any unfinished business? City manager, anything?
I don't know if we're bringing that now or other business, but if you look on the left-hand side of your packet, you do have the revised budget for fiscal year 26 with the revisions that I mentioned in the email.
Okay.
Y'all just want to look those over, compare, let me know which version you'll feel comfortable on with.
Okay, thank you.
Do we need another budget workshop? We usually do 2, don't we? Okay.
We can schedule another budget workshop.
I'll send out some dates tomorrow and see what we can get done.
Okay.
Sounds good. Okay, that brings us to public input not on the agenda. Do we have anybody else that has signed up to speak? Anybody else that would like to speak? Mr. Riddle, Mr. Aker.
Just a question. So there's 15 large events. There's about 7 events that are pretty big. I'm just right by it. Bronco Festival's coming up, the Scottish Games and Bigfoot. Are those large events? Since they have a history of attendance, are those 3 of the 15 large events? I have it somebody's talked about that and I missed it, I apologize.
Yeah, I don't know what the projected capacity is on those, but as part of our arrangement, we'll be getting that in the future. So I know those are larger ones, but
So like,
I don't recall. We did approve,
I think there's.
we approved special event applications for all those. So we could
The
find.
Bronco Festival, so you don't know if that's one of the 15 large events. The question is, there's 7 pretty good sized events. And so what I'm hearing is nobody knows that that's if that's 7 of the 15.
We can go back and look at the projected capacity for that. I don't have it off the top of my head.
That would be,
Yeah, we should have.
it's a good question that I wish that somebody would know.
Well, we've got it in the file, so I think we're happy to come back to you on all
So
three.
you understand the question, because if they're not, then we haven't seen a large event yet.
That's a good point. Okay, Mr. Akers.
So, I think as a citizen owning property in this town, I have some civil rights that have been stepped on because in a recent public meeting, it was explained to the audience how a party is supposed to go about de-annexing from the city of Townsend. And in that meeting, I thanked the mayor for explaining that to me and announced that I intended to seek de-annexation from the city of Townsend. I made that very clear to all of you all that were in attendance. And then I followed up since then in conversations with the interim city manager. I'm quite certain it wasn't an oversight on her part that I didn't make the agenda for this meeting after announcing that I did intend to be on the agenda for this meeting. And I believe that refusing to give a citizen an opportunity to address this commission from an official capacity is stepping on my red, white, and blue. And if there was ever any question why anybody would want to de-annex, you have just proven why, one more time, that somebody wouldn't want to be involved in a banana republic in Blount County, Tennessee. This is absurd that my name is not on that agenda to address my request to de-annex from this municipality. It's absolutely wrong. My property was annexed into the city of Townsend without my permission or without a public referendum. It was done via resolution. The restrictions that have been placed on my property were done without proper legal notice. There was no letter sent. There's no proof of an ad in the paper. And it was done by resolution. Once again, that was done by resolution of a body like this one, rather than public referendum. Your city municipality doesn't offer me any benefits and only restricts my rights without my permission. So I'm following the directions that you stated in requesting to be de-annexed from the city of Townsend. My property is on the outskirts of town. There's not any property on the other side of me that is in the city. So I do not leave a donut hole surrounded by other properties in Townsend when you let me de-annex. But it is absolutely absurd to hold me into this against my will when I was never notified properly up front. I have requested the notification records from your city. I requested them on October the 18th. According to Tennessee state law, I was to be provided them by October the 25th. That was last year. We still don't have those. The reason we don't have them is because they don't exist. That was against Tennessee state law for annexing the property as well as placing the restrictions on me. I would very much like to be released from your jurisdiction in the city of Townsend.
Thank you.
So are you going to hear it?
I appreciate your public comment, Mr. Aker. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with the board?
So you're not going to hear it tonight?
Mr. Aker, that request for de-annexation has to follow Title VI in the Tennessee Code annotated. That's where the rules are spelled out for de-annexation. We had long discussions as part of this other issue about what those requirements are in Tennessee for de-annexation. It's pretty clear in Title VI that a request for de-annexation can only be made by the municipality, can only be initiated by the municipality.
Correct, and that's
So
why I'm asking for that.
You are being heard in a public comment. And if I hear anybody that wants to take that up.
So why do I not have a right to be on the agenda to address this officially, to make the request of the city to de-annex me? Why did you do that? It was you that did that. Why did you prevent me from being on the agenda?
Okay, the agenda for our meetings is developed by the city with the input from the Board of Commissioners and city officials. Citizens don't get to help draft our agenda. That's never been the case. I'm not aware of any other case where that's the fact. We have public input. Citizens can require or participate in public input. If commissioners want to be able to take up a de-annexation, there is a process for being able to take up a de-annexation as initiated by the city following Title VI. And so I hope that helps clarify why you're not on the agenda and what the process is for de-annexation. We have to follow the law.
I'm acting the way you instructed us to act when we were at the public meeting. I'm doing exactly what you said that one partnership could have done if they wanted to de-annex. But you're providing a perfect example of why they needed to seek help from the state level to de-annex, because you're tyrannical. You're not willing to
I remember last meeting, he asked to be on next month's agenda to talk about the annexation.
We can, if commissioners want to put de-annexation on the agenda, we can put de-annexation on the agenda. I wasn't aware that any commissioner wanted to put a discussion on de-annexation on tonight's agenda.
It was requested last month. But a commissioner did not request it. It has to come from one of us to request that, and we did not request that. The public cannot request to be put on the agenda. One of the commissioners has to take the stand to be able to put that on the agenda. By state law, am I correct? By state law, a commissioner has to put something on the agenda. The public cannot.
Can we go ahead and discuss it? If you add stuff to the agenda?
It's not on the agenda, but if a commissioner wants to put it on a future agenda, de-annexing a particular parcel from the city of Townsend, I'd be willing to entertain that on the agenda. That's the proper way to get it on the agenda.
So why did you not make that known when you were announcing that partnership could have done that instead of seeking help at the state level? The day that you all passed your resolution, go back and watch your tape when you explained it to everyone, and I came up to the microphone and thanked you for sharing it and expressed my desire to do just exactly what you just said, but now you won't let that happen. That's absolutely asinine, just exactly like it was inappropriate for you not to have provided your commissioners a copy of the agreement that the Townsend attorney prepared and locked on the 27th in your special call meeting that took place on the 29th. There wouldn't be questions like this today if the actual agreement had been put in front of your commissioners that were asked to vote upon it. That's inappropriate, backhanded, non-transparent, and that's what you're doing to me by refusing to let my issue be heard.
Mr. Aker, we're following our procedures as best we can. we're in the public comment section here. If you're finished with your public comment, we're happy to take it up according to our procedures.
But we did discuss it according to your procedures last month in a public meeting. It was discussed.
Can I make a motion to put it on next month's agenda?
I'll
Or
second.
whatever the next agenda
I'll
is.
second it.
Thank you very much.
I'd be happy for you to make a motion.
I make a motion to hear the de-annexation request for the, what was the address?
7511 Old Highway 73.
7511 Old Highway 73.
I'll second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Let me call the question. I'll do a roll call vote.
Can we discuss it?
Yeah, we can discuss it.
Okay, if we're gonna do that, we have to give the neighboring properties an opportunity to be aware that somebody wants to de-annex. So we have to give proper notification to the people around, so they can be heard as well, not just Mr. Aker. I think it needs to be on the agenda, but I think we need to notify whoever, the surrounding property owners, so they can be present.
Commissioners, de-annexation is serious. It's about as serious as it gets. It is not usual for a citizen to come up. That's why the state law is written the way it is. I caution you to not go down this road. This is a slippery slope, but if we do this, public comment is ended. We are doing our business, Mr. Aker.
On my matter. Thank you. You're very helpful. Cheering up.
Mr. Aker, I'll ask our staff to remove you if you don't be quiet. Now, commissioners, if we go down this road, this is very serious, and we need to follow the proper procedures to do it. Commissioner Jenkins, to your point. There's a reason why it's a high bar to be able to de-annex from a municipality. The municipality has to initiate this. If you're thinking that it's a good idea to take properties one by one and consider de-annexation, you need to carefully consider those consequences. I would caution you about doing this. I can't say it any stronger than that. We have a process. If commissioners want to have a discussion on the agenda, we can get advice by city attorney about what to do that. We'll follow the proper procedures. But for the very reason that our citizens came and thought about the de-annexation of another property, this is not a good idea in my humble estimation. And I'm surprised that it would even be entertained. But we will follow our procedures, and if commissioners want to do that, we'll follow the proper procedure for it.
Putting it on the agenda to have it discussed doesn't necessarily mean it's on the agenda to take action on it.
Matters come on the agenda to take action. We don't put items on the agenda that we don't think are actionable. Okay, this request is not on tonight's agenda because it is not actionable. It has to be initiated by the municipality. You all are the municipality. And I would caution you to think about deconstructing our city, parcel by parcel. But we will follow our procedures, and we'll get advice from the city attorney on what next steps we can take on this. Okay. All right. Any other business?
I have other business.
Okay. Commissioner Ray.
Two things. The last planning commission, Officer Rayburn came in and warned us of a hailstorm and a bad storm cell heading our direction. We had about 8-10 minutes before it hit from the time he came in to get our vehicles to, a safe place. The storm cell had produced golf ball size hail in Loudoun County. Thank goodness, and by the grace of God, we only got a small amount of hail, maybe just the tip of your pinky. It would have been nice to have had an app so we could have warned all of our citizens and those in our community and those that were visiting. So I would like for you all to please consider the app that Chief Condi has brought before us and maybe getting it on our on this year's budget to purchase that app. That would have been very nice. If Mr. Rayburn would not have come in here, we did have somebody in our audience that was in a convertible. So if Rayburn had not come in and warned us, if that had been golf ball sized hail or more, that could have been very harmful to whoever was in the convertible. So I would like you all just to remember maybe possibly putting the app and trying to find funds to be able, that would have went off to everybody that had the app in this room, that would have went off and warned them, not just in here, but those visiting and our people who live in our community. And also the Ford Ranger is not being used. Tim doesn't fit in it very well. The Malibu car is not being used to its full potential, and I would like for us as a commission to sell both of those vehicles because they are not being used. I know Kevin would like to keep the Ford to haul in case we get dogs, because we do get a couple of dogs a year, but I think we could allow the police officers to use one of the larger city trucks for that purpose. If they get a dog, they can have more than access to come and get one of the trucks from the maintenance building to haul those dogs, because some of those dogs are very nasty and they stink, and that is hard to get those smell out of our brand new cruisers. So I would like to sell the Ranger and the Malibu. Is it Malibu? The Impala. Didn't know how other commissioners felt about that.
Commissioners?
Well, we don't really use the car that I know of, but I think the truck might be used a little.
The car was purchased for the previous city manager.
Right.
So you kind of have to look at it. Yeah, it's just sitting there right now, but depending on how you go forward with the city manager position, if you want to add that in as a fringe benefit or not. But ultimately, it's just that.
So as interim city manager, you're not using that car? Okay.
I prefer to use that.
So just food for thought, we can discuss it next meeting.
Let me think about it.
To put that out there that they are not being used. The Ford Ranger was bought for the codes inspector said he wasn't using his personal vehicle to get dirt when he was out on job sites, when he was doing building inspections, and it is a little difficult for both of our people at this time to get into that truck, considering their height. So they have used the maintenance trucks in the past. It hasn't caused any problems. That is all that I have for other business.
Okay, thank you for Commissioner Martin. We'll take a look at that. It doesn't make sense to have vehicles sitting around if we're not using. On the other hand, we do need to look to the future and what vehicles might be needed and how we might utilize those, so we can take that up, I think, at a future time. I know that we are looking carefully at our budget to make sure that we're living within our means, and part of that is being able to recover some investments in different pieces of equipment that we have. So. Okay, any other business?
I would like to say something. I just want to talk about traffic, okay? That's all I'm
Okay, we're done on public input, but I'll
No,
allow
this
it
is
here
some-
real quick.
No, I just want to know, maybe the chief can know, those Broncos or those Jeeps, whatever those are, that are always blocking the light over there, are they going to still be at the Jeep's place, or are they going to the visitor center? You know how you have your Bronco or the Jeeps with the ducks in them, whatever those are, and they back up all the traffic. Are they going to still be congregating at the Jeep place, or are they going to be somewhere else?
I think usually, or like, they've been at the visitor center, but they still have things at the Jeep
Okay,
place.
so,
Yeah, both.
yeah,
Right.
well, so this past event they had, okay, the last one and whatever, I was coming home, I was trying to get out of here from Rocky Top Estates, which is after the switchback, you know? And I'm coming to the light, and I had to go somewhere kind of important for an appointment, and I was so mad because I was sitting in traffic for 45 minutes from my house, from the 220 line. And I took pictures because I was so mad, okay, and I have them. And it shows all the backup of all the cars that I'm in, okay? Someone wanted proof before, I have it, okay? And there's more. And I'm like, I'm not even budgeting. I took pictures, here's another one. I took pictures in my mirror to try to get the people behind me, but it didn't come through, okay? I didn't think of it. Because they're coming back from Pigeon Court, whatever they do over there, right? And so they're coming back. And I'm not thinking I should have to be in that kind of traffic. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I had an appointment that I was late for. If I had a shortcut, if you guys know of a shortcut I can take to avoid that light, I'll take it.
Ms. Claypool, we'll take a look at that, and if you can tell the date of the event, we'll take
Yeah,
a
well,
look
I
at-
just,
look into it. and
I can find out if I want
take it
to.
off. But
But the people coming from my direction,
I
I want to
understand,
see this, because it's really bad,
and some of those backups too.
you know? I know. And then I get to the light, and there's more backup at the light.
Thank you very much. Okay, commissioners, any other business? Last call. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Here we are adjourned.